Hello and welcome to section 1-4 on subtraction. And particularly we're going to be discussing the negative sign. Negative sign like -5, -38. Anytime you have a negative sign, there are a lot of issues that come up in math because of people misunderstanding what this sign means. They think it's a low, small, very small number, and to some degree that's true, but there is one key thing that we need to identify as being what the negative sign means, and that is that it means other direction. Other direction. For example, if you have $5, the opposite of $5 is to lose $5 or be in debt $5. So this guy right here actually means to lose. And notice it's not an amount of dollar bills that you have, it's which direction it is. Or if you have something that is 38 degrees warm, this guy means that is below zero or much colder. So when we talk about other direction, it's nice to put out this number line like this. You know, you've got, here's the number 0, here's the number 5. Well, where's 5 in the other direction? Down here. That's where -5 is. So if we go, let's take a normal problem like we would have done, 6 plus 2. Well, we know what that is. Here's 6, and we go up that way, 2, 7, 8. We get 8. Now, if we go 6 minus 2, what that really means is instead of going from this 6 and going that direction 2, we now go the other direction. So subtraction means to go that other direction from positive. So that's where we get back down to 4. What this also means, however, when you're doing this, you need to identify that if you were to take this number and go in the other direction, you're going to be right there. So if you take the opposite of that number, that it is the exact same thing as the number 5. That takes a little bit of explanation. Yeah, if we were to take the opposite of 5 is losing $5. But if you take the opposite of losing $5, these two together, flip direction twice, mean you're back at positive 5. This is what's called a double negative. Let's write that down. A double negative. So that's when you have two negatives right next to each other like that, that is meaning a positive number again. Same thing, if you have, start with 38 degrees, the opposite of 38 degrees is negative 38 degrees. So 38 degrees below zero. If you lose cold of 38 degrees, now put these two together, losing cold, just like losing debt, they undo each other. If you lose cold, that means you, bing, got warmer, and it's actually the 38, and it looks like it over here. Well, let's bring up a thermometer right in there. And so negative 38 degrees looks like right about there. If you lose cold of 38 degrees, that means you're back up in the positive direction. And we can keep going with this for some time. If you take the opposite of this guy, you're back down here. That's a negative 5. These two guys cancel each other out. We flip direction, and so those guys are gone. It's the same as -5. So if you see something like a -7, you can actually simplify that. These two cancel each other out. They go the other direction. Those two negatives cancel each other out, and we're left with -7 as an answer. So if you get a question such as 5 minus a -8, and it looks like that, this is, you have $5 and you're losing a debt of $8. That really means $5 and you gained $8 more. That's going to be 13. If you have 7 minus a -20, so a problem that looks like that. Again, you started with $7 and you lost a debt of $20. When losing a debt, those two things go together, and that becomes a 7 plus 20 equals a 27. So that double negative, other direction, anytime you see it, a negative sign, that means you're going the other direction. So if you see two negatives right next to each other, the directions undo each other. We actually have something like this in English. If you've ever heard the phrase, I'm not doing nothing, and you're like, what does that really mean? I'm not doing nothing. Well, there are two negatives. Notice there's a negative and there's a negative. If you were to say, I am doing nothing, you are doing nothing. And if you're not doing that, then you must be doing something. So yeah, these two kind of cancel each other out, just like in English. Here are some for you to try on your own. Go to the boards. Metaphorically, go ahead and simplify these 4 problems. Write these 4 problems down and then pause the video, work them out, and then unpause when you're ready to check and see how you did. All right, how did you do? Let's try them. Okay, notice a negative, -4. These two negatives together mean opposite directions, so this is going to be just the number 4. On the next one, 7 minus a -3. Losing a negative, that makes it a plus. So this is 7 plus 3, which is the number 10. The next one, negative, 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 negative 10. So these two negatives, they flipped direction and undid each other. And these two negatives flipped direction and undid each other. So this is the number 10 as well. And finally, 18 minus a -2. Minus a -2, double negative right here, those guys become a plus. This is 18 plus 2, which is 20. Good. To summarize what we've just done, if we were to take the number 18 plus 2, on a number line, it would go 18, and then you would go plus 2, which is this direction. So we'd be up here at the number 20. Oh, we got that one. If you were taking 18 minus 2, that means you're going to go the other direction, 2, and you would be down there at 16. That's going to be subtraction. But let's look at one that's a little bit tougher. Here's 0. What if we were at -18? So if we did -18 plus 2, if you're down here at -18 and you go up 2, you actually get to -16. And if you do -18 minus 2, that would be going the other direction, which is this direction, which would be down here at -20. And you're like, whoa, wait a second. Here we have an addition problem. And here you're subtracting 2, but it's from a negative, so it turns out to look like an addition problem. These two are actually very similar. And so we want to focus on this one because it causes a lot of problems in math for many students. And notice, if you have both of them negative, they're headed both in the same direction. And you remember that other direction, the definition of a negative sign is that it's the other direction. So now we're having the same direction. So this is actually an addition problem. If we do -5 minus 3, that is, if we were to look at like a -5 right here, and we go -3, we're down here at -8. They're both negative. That's addition in the negative direction. So if we do -13 minus 4, this is, both of them are negative, so it's actually adding the 13 and the 4 is a 17, all in the negative direction. Let's look at that on a thermometer so you can see it just a little bit better. If we do this problem, -13 minus 4 equals -17. Notice right here, if we're at, say, -13, let me see, -10, -11, so we are right here at -13. And then it says to go down, and notice this is 13 below 0. Notice in temperature, we would call this colder. So we get colder by 4, and so it goes down here, and we're at -17. Yeah, so if you want to think about it on a number line, negative being a left, positive being a right, this guy right here, you can think about it as an up being warmer and a negative being colder. -5 minus 3, so if you're at -5 and you go down 3 more, yeah, you can see it goes down further into the colder direction. That's why they add in that thing. So if you get bigger problems such as -3,584 minus 206, 203, let's do that. You're actually going to put a negative sign out there and then 3584 and a 203. This is going to be kind of, you're going to combine these together with addition, 7, 8, 7, 3, and it's all going to be negative. So if you lost $3,584, and then you lost another $203, you'd be further in debt. Excellent. Let's give a couple of those a try. Okay, go to the boards. Put these down in your notebook. Simplify these things. -4 minus 6, -13 minus 5, -27 minus 14, and -87 minus 602. Put them in your notebook, give them a try, and pause the video. When you're ready to check your answer, go ahead and push play. Welcome back. How'd you do? Let's look. -4 minus 6, they're both headed in the same direction. So this is actually a 4 and a 6 being added, which is 10, all in the negative direction. That one is a -10. -13 minus 5. You're at -13 degrees and you're going 5 degrees colder. So it actually is a 13 plus a 5, which is 18, all in the negative direction. Oh, this one's a little bit tougher. I'm going to write this one out. Negative. So we're all in the negative direction, but it's really a 27 and a 14 being added together, but it's all in the negative direction. 7 plus 4 is 1. Carry the 1. 1 so 41. So it's -41. We got to remember which direction. So if you have a debt of 27 and a debt of $14, you add those together, you're now in debt $41. Okay, last one. Again, we're going to do negative. I'm going to bracket it like this, 87 and 602. 7 plus 2 is 9. 8 plus 0 is 8. And 6, -689. So they added because they were in the same direction. Excellent. To come back to some problems we did, these two both were addition problems because a +18 and a +2 were going in the same direction. These -18 and -2 were going in the same direction, so they were added. These two are very similar in the sense that that is when subtraction happened. Subtraction actually happens when you have opposite signs working against each other. So a +18 and a -2, they're fighting. And in fact, we're going to call this a tug-o-war. This is when they're battling it out. Income and debt fight it out. And over here you have debt and income are warm and cold fighting it out. That's when subtraction happens. Subtraction happens when you have opposite signs. So if you have the same signs, you actually end up adding the problems. But when you have opposite signs, you end up subtracting them. So let's look again at this one. So we did 18 minus 2 was 16. And the -18 plus the 2 was a -16. This is very important to see how this works out. There isn't a hard and fast rule with a negative and a positive on whether it ends up positive or negative. Notice there's a one negative and one positive in each of these problems, but one answer was positive and the other answer was negative. You're like, how can you tell? Well, just like with any tug-of-war sport, the one that wins is the one that was the strongest. See, these two battled it out. If you had like $18 bills and then you took away 2 of them, there are positive 16 left. Here, there was more debt than there was income. And so who won? The debt did. So that's why we ended up in debt. So the strongest one would always win. So we're going to do subtraction in these. But remember, the sign of the answer goes to the strongest, goes to the winner of the two. So let's do something like that. Let's try a 7 minus 11. Now, if we use a number line, that's a pretty good way to visualize what's going to happen here. 7 minus 11, so here's 0, here's 7, and now we're going to subtract, which is that direction, 11. So we're going to subtract 11. So we go that way, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're back to 0, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are down here at a -4. Now, you should recognize that 11 minus 7 is 4. You're like, wait a second, those are like almost the same thing. Yes, that's exactly right. The subtraction between 11 and 7 is 4. In this problem, -11, 1. In this one, the +11, 1, because it's stronger. Let's do another example like that. If I do 8 minus 3, I get the number 5. if I do 3 minus 8, it's the exact same subtraction problem of 8 minus 3, except in this time, the negative side wins, so it's a negative 5. Let's see how that would work on like a temperature. Let's do something like 80 degrees minus 50 degrees. All right, so 80 minus 50, that's going to be 30 degrees. And let's bring up our temperature thermometer. So let me see, where would that be? 80 degrees. We'll find one right here, 80 degrees. And we're going to subtract 50 degrees. And we're down here at 30 degrees. Now, if we do the other one, let's change the color so it's easier to see. If we did 50 minus 80, well, let's start right here at 50, and now we drop down. We'll hit 0, and then we're going to go all the way down to here. Yeah, but look, 80 minus 50 is 30. 50 minus 80, you're going to take 80 minus 50, gives you 30, but the negative one wins. So in standard practice, this is how we're going to do it. We take a number like 238 minus 759, and ooh, yeah, that looks rough. When we set it up, we're going to be doing subtraction. Yes, that is exactly right. However, don't write this, 238 minus 759, or if you do, realize, oh shoot, how am I going to subtract this? This isn't going to work. You put the strongest one on the top because he's going to win. And you're always going to subtract the strongest one on the top, so write it as a negative 759, and then put the 238 down below, like that. Now, you're subtracting here. 9 minus 8 is 1, 5 minus 3 is 2, 7 minus 2 is 5, and the strongest one wins. It's negative 521. Yes! Now I want to bring to your attention something here. You may see this problem written differently. You may see it as negative 759 plus 238. If you see it like this, notice that these guys are opposite signs. That means we are subtracting. And so regardless of which one comes first, put the strongest one on the top and then subtract the bottom one from it. It's time for you to try some on your own. Let's go to the boards. Go ahead and put these in your notebook, work them out, press pause, and then when you're ready and have worked them all out and are ready to see how you did, go ahead and push play. All right, let's try these. Simplify 378 minus 152. Now notice we always put the strongest one on top, so 378 minus 152. And then we subtract. 8 minus 2 is 6, 7 minus 5 is 2, 3 minus 1 is 2, and the positive one wins. 226. Good. The next one. 154.2 minus 385.9. In this case, the stronger one is this guy. So the stronger one goes on top. So negative 385.9. And the positive one is on bottom, 154.2. Now, you may not have seen that before, but I kept the negative sign up on top so we remember that the answer is going to be negative. And we are subtracting these because they're opposite signs. If they were the same signs, then we'd add them. But 9 minus 2 is 7. 5 minus 4 is 1. 8 minus 5 is 3. And 3 minus 1 is 2. So negative 231.7. The next one, 749 and 15/17 minus 32 and 4/17. All right, it looks like 749 is bigger than 32, so 749 and 15/17 minus 32 and 4/17. Excellent. Now we subtract by columns. 15 minus 4, that's 11/17. 9 minus 2 is 7. 4 minus 3 is 1, and 7 minus 0 is 7. The stronger one is positive, so the end answer of the subtraction will be positive. And now the last one, number 51 and 4/13 minus 294 and 11/13. Which one's stronger? Well, this guy is. That's the stronger one, so he's on top. And I'll leave the negative with him to remind me that that is the strongest one. And then that's a 51 and 4/13. So we're subtracting because they're opposite signs. 11 minus 4 is 7/13. 4 minus 1 is 3. 9 minus 5 is 4. And 2 minus 0 is 2. And the strongest one wins, negative 243 and 7/13. Excellent. And the final section of this video, regrouping. Decimals always regroup by the same number. Deci always regroups with tens. Whenever you have fractions, you will always regroup using whatever that denominator is. And the big kicker here, let's remind ourselves that 7/7 is 1, and 8/8 is 1, and 131 131st is 1. Now that seems really obvious right now, but when we get into these fraction regrouping problems, this is going to come out really handy. Let's do a couple more. 19/19. That's the same as 1, and 11/11, and 15/15, and 7. Oh, we already did 7/7. Let's do 3/3. Sometimes we'll do that. So let's do regrouping with decimals. First, we'll do decimals. Yeah. So if we do something like 352.4 and we subtract 21.8, we write this with the strongest one on top, 352.4 minus 21.8. Now notice what we do, 4 minus 8. Here we get to the point where you have the strongest one is certainly on top, but for this minor little piece of the problem, you're taking the strongest one is on bottom, and we really can't do that. We always subtract with the strongest one on top, and this is where we borrow. So 352.4, if you take this 1 and cut it down, and then you turn and go like this and put a 1 right there, what you have really done is this is 352.4 is the same as 351 and 14 tenths is in the tenths column. 14 minus 8 is 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 0 is 3. So 330.6. So what you really did was you just took 10 of those and turned them into tenths there. Let's do another one. If we took 652 minus 237. Let's try that again. Strongest one on top, 652 minus 237. 2 minus 7, we can't do that. So this guy cuts down to 4, and it puts a 1 right there. 12 minus 7 is 5. 4 minus 3 is 1, and 6 minus 2 is 4. The answer is 415. Now, in slow motion, what we did, we took the number 652 and we changed it into 640 12. And they're the same number. When you have 6 hundreds, 5 tens, and 2 ones, that's the same as 6 hundreds, 4 tens, and 12 ones. See, this has 10 ones right there that actually normally we would carry and put over here. Well, you're uncarrying. So that's what we're doing. We're taking 1 away and putting it over here. Let's see how this works with the negatives on the other side. So if we have 348.9 minus 763.4, and we do something like that, then we're like, okay, we have to put the strongest on top. So that would be negative 763.4. And then we have to put the 348.9 on the bottom. Yeah, we've got to do that. You can't just do 9 minus 4 is 5 and 8 minus, that won't work as well. So 4 minus 9, nope, 4 is too small. So we take away from the 3 a whole 1, and that creates 10 tenths. So now we have 14 tenths. Minus 9 tenths, we got that, 5 tenths, yay. 2 minus 8, nope, 2 is too small. So we now have, take 1 away from there, and that adds 10 to the previous column. 12 minus 8 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1, and 7 minus 3 is 4. And we don't forget the rule, strongest one wins. We're still in there, so the strongest one is a negative. So negative 414.5. Okay, let's look and see what it looks like with fractions. So this problem, 8 and 3/7 minus 2 and 5/7. Yeah, we would start at the right-hand side. 3/7 minus 5/7, we can't because it's too small. 3 minus 5 is not going to work here. So we cross that out, and it's 7. Now I'm going to do this in really slow motion. What that does is that puts 1, that 7 and the 1 comes over here as 7/7. So we actually have this little 3/7 and 7/7 is actually 10/7. We just changed this problem to 7 and 10/7 minus 2 and 5/7. Can you see how that worked? That we took 1 away from 8 and put it over into the fraction column. Yeah, and so we're always doing it by the denominator. We added 7 there. And then it's pretty easy. 10 minus 5 is 5/7. And 7 minus 2 is 5. The answer is 5 and 5/7. Let's do another one. 9 and 3/13 minus 2 and 9/13. Something like that. Okay, so 3/13 minus 9/13. We can't do that. So we have to borrow from here. That makes it 8. And then we have this other 1 that we take over, which is actually 13/13. So these together now make 16/13. So I'm going to write that down. 8 and 16/13. Subtract 2 and 9/13. And now look. Oh, that's nice. Once we have the strongest on top and the bigger one, so we have 16 minus 9, that's 7/13. And 8 minus 2 is 6. Excellent. Let's do one with one that'll be a little bit odd. We take 2 and 4/11, and we subtract from that 8 and 2/11. Something like that. Now remember, when we set this up, we've got to do the strongest one on top. So we now have negative 8 and 2/11, and we subtract 2 and 4/11, like that. There we go. 2 minus 4, nope, we can't. That's too small, so we're going to take that away. It goes down to a 7. And then over here, we're going to then, that's 11/11 that we're putting over here. So that makes a 13/11 here. So I won't rewrite that, but 13 minus 4, we can scribble those guys out now. 13 minus 4 is 9/11, and 7 minus 2 is 5. And the strongest one wins, is negative. Okay, let's let you try some on your own. Here are the problems. Go ahead and write these down, pause the video, and then work them out. Press play when you're ready to move on. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how we did. So 19.1 minus 36.8. Remember, we've got to put the strongest on top when we subtract. So we get a negative 36.8 and a 19.1 on the bottom. And now we subtract them. 8 minus 1 is 7. 6 minus 9, we cannot do that. 6 minus 9, we got to borrow here, and we have now 16 minus 9 is a 7. 2 minus 1 is a 1, and the decimal comes straight down. Strongest one wins. Negative 17.7 is the answer. Great. Number, we don't have numbers right here. The next one, 843.26 minus 15.19. Strongest one is the positive one. So 843.26 minus 15.19. 6 minus 9. Oh, can't do that. That's a 1. And 16 minus 9 is a 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. 3 minus 5. Nope, can't do that one. That one cuts down to a 3. So that's 13 minus 5 is 8. 3 minus 1 is a 2. 8 minus 0 is an 8. And the strongest one is positive, so the answer is positive. Great. This one, which one's the strongest of these two? That guy is. That's negative 9 and 2/13. And that's a positive 3 and 7/13. Great. So 2 minus 7. Nope, not happening. And we always carry with that is 13/13 that I'm going to put over here. So 13 I'll write that down. So that's a total of 15 thirteenths. Good. 15 thirteenths minus 7 thirteenths is 8 thirteenths. And then 8 minus 3 is 5. Strongest one wins. Strongest is negative. And the last one. Which one's bigger? This guy's bigger, stronger. 238 and 2/9 minus 51 and 7/9. Okay, 2 minus 7, we can't do that, so we're going to take away from that guy. That leaves 7 of those, and we take the 1, and it comes over here as a 9/9, which means this is 11/9. We just changed the number to 237 and 11/9. Now we can subtract easily. 11/9 minus 7/9 is 4/9. And then 7 minus 1 is 6. 3 minus 5. Ooh, can't do that one. So I got to borrow from there. That's 1. And 13 minus 5 is 8 and 1. Strongest one is positive, 186 and 4/9. Excellent.